This is the Postal dude. First name, I have no clue. We don't know. He's the protagonist of the Postal series by running with scissors and probably everyone's favorite charismatic psychopath in video games. Postal series is a very beloved franchise by a lot of people, especially online, mainly for its dark sense of humor, violence, and how it perfectly rides that line between going too far and also being hilarious and fun at the same time. Just being solid overall shooters in general. I've always wondered, with how much horrible atrocities you commit in the Postal series, be if, say, the Postal dude actually got sentenced for all of his crimes. Yeah, that's what this video aims to do. We're gonna be looking at all of the Postal games, well, Postal 1 through 4, and Redux. We're gonna total up all of the crimes the Postal dude has committed, which, yeah, don't worry, there's a lot. Now, a few rules that we're gonna get into. We're going to be giving his sentence as much punishment as possible, meaning we'll do the max of however much you can get in trouble for these crimes. And also, we're going to be trying to go off of everything that canonically happens in each game. Now, it's probably gonna be kind of hard, especially with something like Postal 2, because you can choose to go throughout the whole game without committing any crimes whatsoever. However, it's clearly not canon that that's how things happen. This makes sense due to like all the pop culture references in the games, meaning each crime, if we can find specifics, will be charged by basically the year the game came out. Because laws change, so some things might be legal or have different sentences or whatever. Although I think most of the crimes, honestly, are probably not gonna matter what year it was actually committed in. Yeah, just for the sake of argument. Without further ado, let's get started with... So Postal 1 is clearly the darkest in the entire series and probably the most clear case of what crimes are actually committed, because the game pretty much just straight up tells you, and it's pretty clear to see like what you're actually doing, considering that this game doesn't have really any objectives besides just, you know, unaliving people, let's say. And also, for the sake of clarity, I just want to mention we are including Postal 1 and Redux as the same game. I mean, they technically, I mean, it literally is a remake. I don't know how else to, like, really say it any other way. The amount of enemies in the levels and stuff like that is higher than in the original game, plus the extra new level, the Carnival, and there's also all of the DLC slash bonus expansions from the original release are just now included in this game, including the Japan levels and the little extra, like, supermarket levels and the resort. However, we are going to use Postal 1 for one thing in particular. But yeah, the first charge he could get is first-degree murder, which, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. You're probably the most clear, cutthroat, dry version of, like, any of the crimes you say he could commit. It's, like, no-brainer. He's intentionally doing this, going out of his way. He planned it to some extent. I mean, he's literally armed to the teeth. He knows what he wants to do. He really writes it down in his, like, journal entries before each level. Yeah, obviously, this would get him a life sentence. Also, just for the sake of it, I went and actually looked at and added up how many people he's slain in each level. The game actually keeps track, and to also clarify something, there's two different ones. There's the hostiles, which are the enemies that actually like fight back, and then the random pedestrians. So if you add it all up, including the Carnival and the expansion levels, body count is a frankly insane amount. 1,855 people. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, this guy belongs, like, under the jail at this point. Like, what? Such an absurd amount of people. Not that it really matters at that point, but add an extra 25 years, unlawful use of a firearm, and illegal weapon possession. And yes, we do know it's illegal. It's never said if he actually, you know, went through the proper means and got a license for them, but the weapons specifically are pretty illegal. Like, when I looked it up, it listed, like, submachine guns and, like, silenced weapons, which we know he has a lot of, and, like, just a bunch of different weapons in general. And with how messed up his mental state is, there's no way he actually was able to, like, get all of the weapons he owns legally. He has, like, rocket launchers and napalm launchers and flamethrowers and stuff like that. Like, he also gets 10 years for possession of explosives. Yeah, you actually have, like, throwable explosives in this game, as well as, you know, the rocket launchers. you just run around with casually. Destruction of property is a pretty obvious one too. We can see in a bunch of the levels, like there's explosive barrels, and also he's literally going to like supermarkets and carnivals and truck stops and other places. Yeah, it's clearly he's causing property damage to some extent, even though that's not his intent, but still destruction of property. Along with that, just destroying those places, it's also trespassing to multiple places. He also like literally goes to like an Air Force base and he's not permitted or allowed to at all. This can get him up to a year, but simply more just because it's like several different places too. One is just probably the most notable one because you're clearly not allowed for like just some random guy to just mosey on into a military base. Now this one is one that you can kind of argue about. I'm not too sure, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. Illegal entry into another country. As I mentioned before, there's Japan levels. There's 2 levels, Osaka and Tokyo. I'm counting this mainly because, like I said, there's no way he just booked a plane trip to Japan, especially like with him, like this is in the midst of his rampage. There's no way that he managed to get a plane ticket or board a plane during all of this without this like suspicious dude with like bunch of weapons and like a trench coat on him. There's no way he was able to like get past airport security. He somehow got into this country. The only thing I could really find is that like trespassing into Japan specifically, if you get caught, is like 3 years. This one's also a weird one where I'm not too completely sure about it, but attempted murder. And what I mean by attempted murder is this is where we're using Postal 1, like the original. For example, you know, the final level, let's call it, is, he doesn't actually do what he's trying to do. Kind of just has, like, a breakdown. That's where, like, the game ends, right there. So I'm saying attempted because he was going to, but it just, you know, he just stopped and had a breakdown. So I'm not too sure if that's the same thing as if like attempted was like stopped by someone else or just from your own self, you're not able to do it. But yeah, that's 15 years. And also you could give him child endangerment because, well, the final level, like I said. And also you can argue with this because in Redux, they completely change it. Probably because it was just kind of a little too far, you know what I mean? Also, speaking of, the final thing I want to mention is actually from Postal Redux, specifically the multiplayer component. On Postal Redux, you can play co-op, and there's a different ending. This ending, like most things in the Postal universe, is completely up to interpretation because the lore is not really important. However, what I'm talking about is in the ending to the co-op section of the game, ending, from what I understand, is like all the other Postal dudes that you play as in co-op are breaking the other Postal dude out of jail. And you're probably wondering, how is there multiple Postal dudes? I just assume it's like, you know, some like copycat killers or something like that, like people similar to him. They're all like just dressed like basically fanboys, essentially. We can clearly tell that that is at least the original one sitting in there because it basically kind of looks like him. So it's never actually confirmed. And now escaping from like institution slash like prison, I can only really find for prison. I couldn't really find one for like an asylum or anything like that. Obviously that is a major crime. And so I found that like if you escape from like a jail or something like that, or like some sort of custody, it's like a year. But I'm not too completely sure because this is a very weird topic that I couldn't really find a lot of answers for, and it was very conflicting. Now I clearly am not a law expert, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of things wrong. Yeah, feel free to correct me in the comments below, but that's basically everything I can find for the first Postal game. I think this is gonna be the most easy game to like actually gather all these for, mainly because like I said, the other games, there's varying like different things you can do. Like there's actual objectives that aren't just, you know, killing everything in sight. Yeah, that's it for the first game. Alright, now we're going to be getting into Postal 2. So now for this one, this is where things are going to get a little tricky, to be honest. Mainly because, like I said before, Postal 2, you have like more free reign of what you actually do. And you could beat the entire game without committing any crimes at all. But obviously, if you're the average player, you're not probably going to go out of your way to do this, you know what I mean? Playing GTA without doing anything bad, you know what I mean? Like most people aren't going to do it, maybe a few. First, we're going to start with the crimes that carry over from the first game. Considering, yeah, you could do a lot of the same stuff in that game, but this game actually adds a few more things that get added to like the crime count. Destruction of property, 10 years. Possession of explosives. Murder of law enforcement. And this time we'll give him second-degree murder because he doesn't really plan out like in Postal 1. Like he meant to do what he was doing, knowing full well, and he like premeditated it basically. This game, things just kind of happen, you know what I mean? Like it's more self-defense in this case, but I mean, he is quick to resort to violence in this game, and you are probably going to a lot. Like, that's why I'll say second degree instead of first degree. At the end of the day, all you're trying to do in this game is do your errands. Like, you're not trying to like actively cause harm. Possession of weapons and firearms, unlawful use of firearms as well. Also attempted murder, because Thursday at the end of it where he gets the napalm, he tries to murder his wife in the trailer, but he only ends up burning the carpet, and he says he was trying to aim higher, so yeah, we could count this. Now we can move on to the crimes he actually committed that are new to Postal 2. Illegal drug possession. It's stated literally in the beginning of the game, and also throughout the whole game, your main form of getting health back in this game, or one of them at least, is the health pipe, which yeah, we all know what this is. And yeah, for people who have like drug possession, it's usually like 2 years and a minimum fine of like $2,500. Animal cruelty. Probably one of the most infamous parts about Postal 2. You can literally turn a cat into a silencer of your gun. Also kicks champ in the beginning of the game. In an apocalypse weekend, you're forced to fight the zombie elephants. Now, I mean, they are zombified, so they are attacking you specifically, but still. Yeah, it's 25 years to a life in prison, but we're just gonna say life sentence because we're trying to like really nail this guy. Pause. Trespassing, he breaks into people's houses, which also breaking and entering can be given up to 25 months. There's also theft, and the main thing I'm talking about he stole is the milk in the beginning of the game. Like if you choose to just like steal the milk. Milk was $5, so it's under $200 obviously, so 200 days in jail. Armed robbery if you choose to rob the bank instead of just cashing your check in, which is up to 25 years, plus 10 years if he kills anybody, which yeah, he does, or up to a life sentence as well, so we'll just give him the life sentence, plus the 25 and the 10, because hey, why not? Mutilation of a body. Yeah, you can dismember people in this game, and usually it happens on accident, regardless of if you're even trying to. That leads to 12 years in prison. Vandalism, if you're wondering what this is for, this is for peeing on his dad's grave, because yeah, that is vandalism. He didn't like destroy the grave or anything, so it's like 6 months if he was caught doing it. It varies depending on the state obviously, so I just said Arizona because that's where the game takes place, and that's what I got, so correct me if I'm wrong. Public urination is also 6 months, because yeah, in this game you can pee and you could just you know, pee everywhere. Indecent exposure. This is what happens when like you get in the GIMP suit, and I think it's Wednesday, like the rednecks or whatever. And yeah, you have to walk around town in that until you're able to get your laundry. Yeah, your butt cheeks are just hanging out, so yeah, that counts. Yeah, that's 12 months in jail. And the last major thing I think he's done in this game is in Paradise Lost, which is like the DLC. He literally teams up with Al Qaeda to make a fucking thermonuclear warhead. And yeah, that's pretty illegal. And yeah, that gives him an extra life sentence for having a weapon of mass destruction, and he was involved with making it too. Now we're on to Postal 3, and this is actually kind of interesting because this game has an actual like morality system. Like there's 2 paths you can choose in the story. Insane path, which is like the evil path of the game, and the good path, which is, you know, obviously the good path or the morally more right path. And yeah, for the sake of this video, we're only looking at the insane path because that's like the evil path and it's gonna have the most crimes. And also every other crime basically just added up like from the other 2, honestly, because it's a lot of the same shit you can do, so it's just saving myself from repeating. First one off the bat, just general crimes against humanity, because this game's existence is a crime against humanity. No, but seriously. First crime we're going to be talking about is working with terrorists. This doesn't have an actual name, but you can get in trouble for it, obviously. The punishment is up to 15 years in prison or life imprisonment. And for context, this is what happens when you work with the terrorist organization, the eco zealots in the game. Reckless endangerment. This happens basically when Champ champ, like, it just randomly rips his dude's dingling off. And yeah, this is like 2 years imprisonment. Also, just in case you're wondering, he didn't tell Champ to do this, so this is just something he did on his own. Ironically enough, this is the first instance in the series of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, I'm gonna count this just because there's a mission where, like, they steal, you have to stop these dudes from, like, stealing Segways, and you're technically stealing them back from them, so I'd count this. And in case you're wondering, it's like any vehicle over a certain amount of money, typically $1,000. Usually this is just for cars, but it could go for any number of things, so I'd count it. It's a motorized vehicle. So there's also him harboring an illegal alien, the Malaysian slave boy. Don't ask. You have to sneak around with. And yeah, this is also another life sentence. Would be less, but the fact that the Postal dude is causing harm while during this. Starting a riot. So Postal dude, he gets his like friends from the terrorist organization to like start and cause chaos in the animal place where they're keeping Champ. You can find where they're actually keeping Champ captive at. Yeah, this is 1 year. And yeah, this is about everything I can find for this game that we haven't already talked about previously. Thank God, now we can stop talking about Postal 3 and move on to the final Postal game. Moving on to Postal 4, and I've got nothing. Yeah, no, I looked, and as far as I can tell, there's literally nothing that's particularly new about this game, at least when it comes to, like, the crimes in it. It's all pretty much things we've seen before, and I mean, it was kind of obvious, like, I kind of tell it was going to be like this, mainly just because even in Postal 3, I was running out of ideas a little bit, and it kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? The series, like, really innovated from the big jump from 1 to 2, so there wasn't really much you can do. Like, once after 2, you basically are just going to be doing the same things over and over, you know what I mean? And that's not the game's fault, but that's just really how it is with Postal. Yeah, so that's basically going to be it, but before we do that, let's add all of them together. Now, grand total of crimes is, oh my god, oh no, 140,311 years in prison. Now, a few things I just want to know. I may have done the math wrong. Who knows? Like, if this is actually the right amount. Obviously, like I said, I'm not a law expert, and I might have gotten, like, how much time these are actually worth right. First of all, at this point, with this many years, who cares how, like, right it is? That's not really the point. It's more just the insane amount of time this is. For the record, I looked it up in days. This is, like, over 51 million days. This is assuming, this is the funniest part. This is assuming he doesn't get the death penalty, by the way. Like, I think it should be a crime to get charged with this many years. Yeah, this is just a fun little idea I had. I would be down to make this an actual series. Like, I've thought out a bunch of other characters I could do this for. But yeah, let me know if you would want to see other characters I do this for, because this could be really fun and funny idea. Yeah, I particularly have one character in mind. But yeah, if this video gets a lot of like views and people actually want to see it, I'd be down to do it. And yeah, let me leave you with who I was thinking of for this.
Make no mistake, I'm a sociopath. Do you like rapping? Do you like